Welcome to JW Night Talk. So tonight we're in a special location. We're not in the normal studio. We moved everything outside of the house and we moved it all into the garage. So tonight my good wife, she gave me this note. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. So my question to you guys is my microphone working? Because I had to hook everything up again. And you know how that goes. Sometimes you get a wire backwards or something. So I'm looking for the comments. I see Tammy. Tammy says, "Hi, Vern." I'm thinking you guys can hear me then. No one said that they couldn't. So that's great. My good wife says sound. Does that mean that that the sound is good? Does that mean I'm supposed to turn the sound on? Monica says yes. Turn the sound on. You mean my sound's not turned on? I need to turn it on? Oh, Tammy G, thank you. You said yes, it is on. Thank you, Tammy. Now, to start the show off, we're moving into the summertime, you know, the springtime. Kids are just wrapping up school if you're in college, things like that. Summer holidays comes around pretty quick, and pretty soon Halloween's here. Now, don't forget Halloween night this year, on Halloween night, October 31st. Now, Halloween is when Russell died. That's the date of his birth, or his death. He died Halloween night. Kind of ironic. I don't know. So therefore, Be Free 2023 is taking place October 31st, Halloween day, not night, between 10 and about 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. So if you're not sure what this is, you simply do this. I'm going to show you here, because we're on this live show and we got this set up really good here. So all you have to do is go in and type in Be Free. Now, there's only one E in B. It's not the bumblebee, just Be Free 2023.com. It came right up. So you hit that, it comes up, let yourself be free. You click on that. This is a good website to link yourself to. Now I'm going to try something else here. There we go. So what do you think of the lighting in the new studio? You notice there's no windows and the sun's coming in this time of the day like all of our other videos. And then my glasses, you notice how my glasses used to bug out. So this studio is all closed in. It's a dark room. And it's all lights. We cleaned out our old solar shop here on the farm, and because we're selling things and we're moving eventually here, hopefully. And so we moved out of the house and moved into the old solar shop. So we had some of that green paint left, and we painted a wall in the studio. So like I'll show you what I can do. I can walk around here. I'm way over here. So I can run through, then I can run back. I can jump up and over. This is a playground. This is my good wife's idea, by the way. She's in the house watching. So the one issue that we're having out here, on a cloudy day or whatever, depends on who's using computers on the farm and who in the neighborhood. The internet's all dependent on everything. We get a bandwidth problem way out here because I was only getting I'm only getting 2 bars out here. So we found when we came into the same room, and if someone had a cell phone, it would just drain, especially if they're on our Wi-Fi. So after all that running, you notice my arms can go up further too, eh? I can be way out here. Lighting's not bad. Thank you, good wife. Hey, if you guys want to see how this all works, this was so easy. It took me an afternoon. If I would have known it was this easy, I would have did this away at the beginning. We had to play around with lights and stuff, and we hung a light, and we did some things that are quite cheap. So if anybody online is looking to build a studio, I will make a video. I actually videoed some of what I did here, and I time-lapsed it so we can time-lapse it so you don't have to watch a boring video with a guy painting. But we threw some fun in there, and I think I might. But if any of you guys want to see this, I'll throw it on, I'll make a video, and we'll put it on the channel. And you guys, any out there that want to get into this, gives you some ideas. Like, this was the best thing. Instead of buying all those cloths and stuff, well, you can buy some cloths, and I can show you, I'm going to show you guys in this video I make what you can do with a green room studio. It's quite fun. You can fly. You can do kung fu. You can jump. You know how the kung fu guys jump up? You can do that. So if you want to know how to do some of that stuff, you go to John the Preacher. And we had John the Preacher on our Saturday Sex Show a few weeks ago. And he has some excellent videos. He's an XJW, John the Preacher. And he's looking to get more subscribers. He's having trouble having YouTube push his videos. And like I said before, it's all little robots. YouTube's all little robots. So we got to keep those robots happy. And sometimes when we upset the robots, they get a little offended, and they don't work for us the way we want them. So now John does a fabulous job. He does all these satires about religion and sex, and he covers different topics, Trump and different things. And he's really good at it. And we talked to him on the show. John the Preacher. We can click into his website, but this wasn't supposed to be part of this show. John the Preacher. He was when he was a Jehovah's Witness, he was in drama. He was in high school, he was in drama, and he was really good at drama, and he loved drama. And so he wanted to do more with drama, so he became a regular pioneer. And that was part of his drama in high school. He regularly pioneered in high school, and then he went out to do professional drama. And of course, if you want to be a regular pioneer and go out into the world and be an actor, the Jehovah's Witnesses don't like that. And of course, John has a story. Good story, John. So anyways, he's now outside of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and he's acting. He's doing what he loves, and he has a passion for, and he's building videos to help people. So thumbs up to John the Preacher. But anyways, Be Free is put together by a group of PIMOs and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses working together. And I'm noticing that we're going to go to a site here later on here, 2 sites. Again, undercover PIMOs and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, all undercover. There's so many undercover, like it's talk about undercover in this side of the fence. It's just bizarre. And that's why it leads me to believe that there's dozens within that are in droves, in sections, and they know each other. And I guess maybe they follow, I don't know. And they're very secretive. They have to be, because if they get found out, there's consequences. Now, I'll give you an example. We just tuned in today to a live. And perhaps some of you guys follow Caleb, XJW Caleb. And he has just this picture of Caleb. And that's all he is, Caleb. And he has 3,000 subscribers, 3.3. He's been at this since 2017. I think I had checked his website today. And so we tuned in. My good wife tuned in, and I sat down beside her, and she says, "Come and look at this. This Caleb. You remember Caleb? He's showing himself. He's revealing himself today." So we tuned in on his live today, and he revealed himself. And so he asked everyone, what do you think of my hair, and blah, blah. Nice looking young man. Thumbs up to Caleb. Doing some really good work. And if you guys haven't seen it, tune in to Caleb. You'll see his live today. It'll be posted. And you get to see what he looks like. And he tells his whole story. It's like It's like he just came out. And part of the problem he was having was, remember we did the shunning videos on our last live, our Saturday sex show. If you haven't seen that one, we talk about the shunning videos that were deleted, mysteriously deleted by the Watchtower. They're supposed to be in the assembly this summer. Not going because of the supposition is because of Norway. Because of Rebecca Vardy, the famous actor's wife, whose ex-Jehovah's Witness was abused, and there's a big story there. Shunning. There's so much on the market right now in the media on shunning, and now I'm realizing more than ever that Jehovah's Witnesses are a marketing company, and they're using subliminal marketing within the magazines to try to program people. And we're going to show you what they're doing to brainwash people here just in a little bit here. So I talked about Caleb. A thumbs up to Caleb. He's talked about his whole story. It was about shunning. Why didn't he expose himself all these years? He was doing these videos. He has 3.3 thousand subscribers. He's been monetizing. He's does a beautiful job. I've watched a lot of his work. And he's an artist. But you always wonder, who is it behind the scenes? So he got flagged by YouTube. Like I said, those little YouTube robots, they're out there. He got flagged by YouTube, but this time there was someone else triggering the YouTube robots, and it was Watchtower. And they can do that with just all electronically. So Watchtower triggered YouTube robots, and Watchtower wanted to know who it is behind the scenes. He had to come out. So he had to tell YouTube, you have to type in when you do, like we're always doing copyright strikes because we use music and we use licensed music. But the robots catch you, so you go in, we have to go in and put the license number. We get creators' license numbers and we buy into libraries of online music. And that's how I get all the music, as you've seen at the beginning of the show. So I try to use different music. I notice some creators just use the same music, and that's probably because they either have a licensed copy of music, but from time to time you might have a licensed copy and YouTube will still strike you. So they still want proof. And it's all online. We do it every day. You just get good at it. Copy, you can make little macros, copy paste your licensing and so forth. The reason I'm saying all this is because I believe that with what I'm seeing, and I've only been online for not even a year. My good wife and I sat down just here before the show, and we were talking. We really put out our first video on this XJW community, where I was kind of mad at the governing body. You know how that's your first video? Well, my first video I think was the end of June last year on this channel. But prior to that, on this channel, because I used my YouTube channel I had for years, and I was doing, we were doing work in the peat moss business. We had a farm. I took over my dad's farm, and there was about 4 feet of peat moss before you got into black dirt. Well, peat moss is the debris from dead fallen trees and moss and things like that, and it actually grows we have what we call a boreal forest. So this farmland was right on the edge of the boreal forest, and a lot of the farmers were burning the peat moss. So we moved out there and we said, no, why are you burning it? There's a market. So we made a market for it and actually marketed the peat moss, my good wife and I. And we did that for many years, and we turned that over to one of the neighbors, and they're still doing the same thing instead of burning it. And so what was the point of my story about the peat moss and living out at this farm? It'll come back to me. That's the problem with lives. But we could cut that and come back to it. But today we're talking about brainwashing. We're going to get right into the brainwashing part of it. And this is what happens when we become a Jehovah's Witness. We become brainwashed, or we get brainwashed. So sometimes we wonder what is the... Oh, can't do that. Had to turn that one off. My voice still works, right? Okay. I'm going to go back to the live. I'm just going to see who's in before we get into brainwashing. And what do we have here? We have a few people online. Well, welcome to the show. And if you're if you're hooked in and you're watching and you're not sure if you should get into the chat, just try it. You know, the people are friendly online. They're not going to bite you. And, you know, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, we welcome you to sit in and listen. And these are good places to start checking in and checking into the various communities online. There's lots of them. And it helps us as there's a wake-up period that can go on for years, actually. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how brainwashing really affects us and how it was used when we were in the organization. And it still is in us. So the reason I know this now is just over the last few days, in one of my other videos, I sang the victory song a little bit, and I thought, this is my favorite song. You know, I really love the victory song. And I went on and on about the victory song. And my good wife pulls me aside, and while we're sitting down having a coffee, and she says, really, you know, why don't you check out a few of these other songs and see what you think? Because she's, you remember, ex-Catholic. You know, she comes from a whole different background. And she said she should write a book about this one day because it is quite the learning experience to marry an ex-Jehovah's Witness. So now, you might think I don't have a ring on the show, and I do have a ring. I have a very beautiful ring. But the problem with living on the farm is we have barbed wired fences, we have machinery, I do mechanics. And you catch your ring on something and you lose this finger. You lose this finger. Now, it's not that bad finger, it's this one. Your ring finger, you know. So now, where I come from, we lived next door, I grew up, we lived next door to what they call a Hutterite colony. And a Hutterite colony here in Canada it's like the Mennonites or the Amish, if you're in other parts of the world. Now, if you're in Israel, and I've been there twice, it's like a kibbutz they call it. It's where people commune together for one common purpose. No one owns anything. They walk in with clothes on their back and they walk out with clothes on their back. That's how it works. Now, if you're a Hutterite, you're raised into it, and there's a lot of inborn blood, and they're trying to pull new blood in to these colonies. But they're colonies, and they're religiously run. I did a video on this, and they're really little cults in a way, but they're not that harmful. Now, I grew up next to the Hutterite colony, and the wise men in the colony, the preachers, had real long beards, gray beards. So if you can imagine a kingdom hall where all the wise men had these really long, unkept gray beards that just all over the place, that's the Hutterite colony. Or it's like the Jewish religion, perhaps. I don't know about the Jews, but I do know about the Hutterites. So then if you get the young men, the single men, they're available to all the women, you know, the girls. And no, by the way, the Hutterites do not wear rings. They do not wear rings because rings can get caught on machinery. They're farmers, and you can lose a finger. They don't wear rings. It's not their tradition. So if you're single and available, you're clean shaven, no beard. But if you're married, you have a beard. You see my beard. It's fairly short, so a lot of Hutterite men a little longer. They go a little longer than that, but very well kept. Those are married men. And if they're preachers, there are these long, scraggly gray beards. You know, they're older men. There's always a couple of preachers in the colony. So that's the beard thing, you know, getting back to this whole beard thing in the Kingdom Hall. But it's just wrong brainwashing. But, you know, when I talk about my good wife, we are married. I just don't wear a ring. I'm not a Hutterite, but I do wear a beard. So that should say I'm married. It's just a side point. This is a live. So hello to SDR. Thanks for joining us. Liz Bellows, Tammy G, how are you doing? Monica. Yeah, we're having fun. We like to dance and have some fun, and it's important to do that. I learned after after a while here, I learned this, that it's important when we open up and we wake up. When we start to wake up, you know, we get these feelings. You know, maybe we'll start exploring our talents. Some of us have a lot of hidden talents, I think. And Caleb, I don't want to give away all the secrets on his video, but we watched it today, and he has a guitar in the background. He's an artist. He's wanted to explore his arts, but what held him into the organization or keeping himself secret was his mom. He had no use for his father. His father was some Bethelite high up guy, actually, but he wanted to be secret. He wanted to preserve, I think, his relationship with his mom. But something happened, and you'll have to watch the video with his I could be mixing up two videos now because I watched two of these videos recently. Yeah, and the other one that I watched was Owen Morgan. Owen Morgan, I believe, is his name, and he covers cults. And he's an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and he did one here on shunning, and it was where he opened up and told the audience all about his live, and we listened to it, and it was a fabulous video to listen to this. So here these guys are creators behind the scenes, helping to educate the audience about all the falsehoods within the Watchtower. You know, both of these individuals doing an excellent job, but yet just recently, I know Owen has 300,000 subscribers, and Caleb has 3.3 thousand because of relationships within the congregation, within the organization, and it's hard to sever those. So I understand when we look at Be Free and we look at some of these other websites that are run by ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and PMOs, because they're still kind of affiliated, and then we have to get a lot of this information out. Like, how are we going to know the assembly times, and how are we going to know the programs if there's not inside people feeding that out? So I think, I don't know, no one's behind this. There's no organization. There's no apostate organization. It's just people individually working and doing something, like Caleb, like Owen Morgan, like myself. We just start doing this and building videos. Some of us have talents where we talk and we don't know when to quit. That's me. And other ones don't want to be seen, but they're really good behind the scenes, you know, and there's lots like that. So thumbs up to everyone. But if you want to learn about building a green screen, building a room, getting into this a little bit, I will do a video, because we do need more help online, and it takes a while to get enough to get your audience up so you can do a live and do something with the channel. Hello to Clyde Bell. You need a Tony Morris mask and a bottle of scotch. Well, I was grabbing for the scotch, but you know how that goes, eh? It's never there before a show, only after the show. No, Scotch and me, we're not good friends. And in fact, tell you a little secret, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I drank a lot. I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like it was an escape. And it's funny, because when I got baptized, I was 18, 19, 20-ish when I got baptized. And all the friends, we'd go out camping and they'd all drink lots of beer, lots of beer. I never drank that much beer in my life. But these JWs, they go out camping in the bush, and they pull their campers out and they go camping, all JWs. And they get up in the morning and say a prayer and before the meals and do all that stuff. And then if there was someone not baptized in the group, they would have a little preaching session and count time, just like service. It was weird. And that's one of the congregations that disappeared. And we're going to look at that. A lot of congregations are disappearing on the planet. And there's actually a new website that we just found out today that monitors this. So we're going to take a quick look at that. Hi to K Fred, and I think I said that. So we're going to go on. Where are we here? We're going to talk about brainwashing for a bit. I don't know what you guys know about brainwashing, but apparently I'm still brainwashed. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to get brainwashed. So here we have it, brainwashing. We could talk for a lot on this. This is a big subject. So psychologists, earworms are cognitive itch. The brain automatically itches back, resulting in vicious loop. The more one tries to suppress songs, the more their impetus increases, a mental process known as ironic process theory. So here's the question that was put in. Brainwashing through words and songs. So brainwashing by word repetition and through music and songs. How powerful is that? So that's what we're looking at. Some of the things they call them is earworms or stuck song syndrome. Have you ever listened to a song and you can't get the damn thing out of your head? And that's what happened. The other day, I was just goofing around on the couch or in the studio or whatever. It was over in the house studio. But I was goofing around with the Victory song. If you're a Jehovah's Witness or an ex-Jehovah's Witness, you know the Victory song. And we're going to look at that in a bit, so I'm not going to get into it. And since then, every morning, my wife is waking up with this damn Victory song ringing in her ears. So we have to erase that somehow. And there's ways of doing it. Now the other song that she couldn't get out of her head was that Ramapo song. So we did do a parody over that Ramapo song for a while, but I think we got to address this stuff as a group of people. Now there's a few of us online that can get on and do this, and now I see Caleb is one of those guys. He's got a guitar in the corner. He's an artist, and I think we just got to start scratching out. Like it's like taking a record. And you got to scratch that record out in our brain. And the best way to scratch the record out is keep the tune but replace the words. And have you ever heard of a guy named Weird Al Yankovic? Did I get that right? I don't know if I got that right. You guys tell me online, Weird Al Yankovic. I don't know if I said that right. But my wife was telling me about that. And unfortunately, I don't have time. I can't do YouTube copyrights and play their videos anyways because you get in trouble on YouTube. Now, let's get back to this brainwashing. What's going on? How does the brain work? What is an example of brainwashing? Well, what is it? Brainwashing is commonly associated with cults and abuse. A cult leader might, for example, present a warm and friendly disposition to get a person's trust, like "Welcome to the assembly, brothers and sisters." We're going to look at Watchtower Help Desk, his take on an assembly, and this is it's assembly time right now, and if you're ex-Jehovah's Witness or Jehovah's Witness, you just left. You're feeling it. You're feeling assembly time, and what are they going to say? What's the program about? So everyone floods in, like XJW Caleb. He's really good. They break apart these assembly programs. And there's a lot of the creators online doing this, and they do an excellent job. So you don't have to go to the assembly. These guys go through it and decipher all the BS, so that it takes care of your itchy feet, your programming. We are programmed because I was in it for 30 years, so I'm programmed. I'm not going to say now, but I was programmed to want to know what was going on at the assembly. Every year I wanted to know what was going on at the assembly. So I'd phone my buddy up. I left 2012, but every year my buddy, he'd come out and give me the highlights. I was afraid to go on the internet. Remember, I wouldn't go on the internet. It's from Satan. Programming. But I did use the internet. I'm not saying I didn't go on it. Now, can music be a form of mind control? Yeah. But we do know this. Sounds can change our behavior, our thinking patterns, our moods, and even our entire lives. Music is one of the most moving things, and the words in the music. Sometimes we just catch on to the tunes, but the brainwashing comes from the words put behind a catchy tune. And your brain likes the catchy tune, so it's repeating the tune, but you're replaying the words because you know the words. Your brain knows it; it puts it in there, and that's how they do it. We're not talking about backwards masking and subliminal. There's a whole study on that as well. Let's carry on. It's basically a form of magic. Okay, yeah. So music, it says, is basically a form of magic, and it's using the K at the end of the magic. It's spelling magic, M-A-G-I-C-K. I don't know why. One of the most direct acts of brainwashing that we engage with on a daily basis. Music. So whatever you're listening to in your music, you're getting brainwashed. You're getting brainwashed. And you know, I could never understand, and I talk so much about my good wife, sooner or later, I asked her if she wants to come on the channel and meet everyone. She said no. And I agree. She said this is an XJW channel, and we are going to be starting up another channel. Well, we have it started up. It's called Gone with the Grid. And on that channel, you'll get to know us, but no religion. We won't talk JW on that channel. It's another type of channel. And that's what we're doing. We're moving to a remote location, and we're going to be setting up off-grid. And we're going to be sharing that experience with the world. So now, and that's what happens. You wake up because I left in 2012, kind of lost, limbo, floating about. My head's all screwed up, getting angry all the time, flying off the handle. You know, we could go on for a long time and talk about this. So what happens is we wake up and then we, holy crap, they lied to us. And, you know, I met a good buddy here, my best man, and he was an ex-JW. He came and was my best man when my wife and I got married here 10 years ago now. We've been together 10 years. And he came and, well, probably we were married for like 9 years ago. But yeah, he's been ex-JW for a long time. Now, he told me that he wasn't even baptized, but he was treated like a baptized person. He was disfellowshipped. I heard the announcement. And but yet, and I ignored him, but he said he was never baptized. And he said if they could only say they were sorry. And I said, well, they lied to you. They lied to us. And it was like he woke up. And I explained to him how they removed scriptures from the Bible, and he couldn't believe it. So people are waking up. You know, people that have left the organization for years and years are still not woke up. They're still programmed. We still carry around this programming. So that's why on our channels, we've been covering a lot to do with brainwashing, PTSD, complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, because it is complex, a Jehovah's Witness stress and what they're dealing with. And so that's why I believe that these lives and these channels really help the audience to come in and as they wake up, to get to know everyone, and it's not that scary. And if you want to come into the channel, zoom in and tell your story, just email my good wife. She's always looking for material. She manages all that. In the email, I should probably put this on all my descriptions. I can. It's mail@gonewiththegrid.ca for Canada. CA at the end. Okay. 3 phases of brainwashing are dependency, dissonance, and attitude change. Those are the 3 types of brainwashing. So now let's just think about this for a minute. Dependency. Do you depend on the Watchtower? Yeah. We're gonna look at the songs. They show us that they're the theocratic order. They're the spiritual feeders. They provide the spiritual food. They're the chosen ones. The dependency is really high dependency. If you leave the organization, you might not, probably, most likely won't make it. That's what they say. Now, the next one is dissonance. What's that mean? Dissonance. It's where your mind's kind of screwed up. Okay, so you read in the Bible over and over again, you know, okay, we're not supposed to be under the 10 Commandments. We're not under the old law, but okay, wait a minute. Blood. Okay, Leviticus. Okay, yeah, we're using the scriptures here. Okay, the parodies, we're using the old Bible. Okay, so we are kind of under it. Okay, but we're not. Okay, it said the 10 Commandments, honor your parents, the 4th command, honor your mother and your father, but they quit. They quit the organization. I got to disfellowship them. I got to shun them. You see, that was the video that we covered last week. And those are the videos that they removed from that Saturday sex show. we covered that. The videos that they mysteriously removed. And we played them, and those are the videos. So the daughter had to shun her mother. So here's dissonance, and it's confusing. And the Watchtower spun this and made it look like, well, the poor girl, the poor girl. Her mom left the spiritual food. Her mom left life. Her mom's committing suicide. Your mom might not make it. You see, this is dissonance, and this is what the programming. So the 3 phases. What's the third phase is attitude change. So they want to change your attitude. Your full allegiance is to the governing body. That's it. They are the boss. What they say goes. What's in the Watchtower is God. It's from God. And that's where they get the attitude change. And we're going to look at that. We're going to look at words and how they are using words to promote themselves recently here. So this is happening right now, right as we speak. The governing body, and we can find it. And there's some really cool tools online that some of the creators have put out there. And we're going to look at this in a second. So I think that's it. Just for that, I'm gonna pull you into another screen. I'm going to pull you into this screen here, the display. Now, this is analytics.jws-library1. What's the home on it? Now, is this the home page? Yeah, this is the home page. So when you come right into this home page, my wife found this, and it shows everything, a view of the head map. Now, I was looking at something else. What was I looking at here? I got off it now. Yeah, I'm going to go back and load it because I have it marked here. And analytics, here it is. So here it is. Now, I'm going to go into all the congregations here. And yeah, you can see me now. So I'm going to go into all the congregations here, and I'm going to see which ones are deleted in the world. I think load all deleted. There's all the deleted ones. You see them all? So we were looking at the ones in Canada here because there was some in Canada here. And then when you zoom in, we're looking at these ones right here. So you see this one's deleted, this one here. And then there's a legend that tells what these little things mean. Where is that at? I'm going to get my face off the screen here so you can see it all. Now, these are all deleted. Every one of these numbers, the blue, at just different times they were deleted, that's all. Now these black ones mean that they're coffins, that they're gone. Well, I'm going to zoom into Alberta, where I live. Now here's where I grew up, right here. I came into the so-called truth, they call it, right south of Edmonton here, right in this town called Red Deer. This is where I was baptized, right here. And right here, this congregation was deleted. It's called Waskesiu Park. Waskesiu Park. Now, I remember, I think Red Deer's growing so much. But I thought it was right by Bauer Mall, like this Waskesiu Park. That's what I thought. Unless they moved it, I don't know. But anyways, that was the congregation. And they deleted it, got rid of it. So now we're going to go up. If you look all over the world here, I'm going to get right out of Alberta. But you go all over the world, you know, there's 18, 12, these are all, they all mean something, so you can go to a map and you can look at it. So I'm going to put a link to all this in the description so you can see this. But it really shows you what's going on around the world, and you can see trends that are happening all around the world. Now, one of the other things I liked about this site is you can go look at words per year, the words that they're using. Okay, and this is how we're finding out how they're programming us through words. So the most common words used publication. Let's go to the most common words used. For instance, we might. I think we can type it in. There's the most common words used. So Jehovah, Jesus. This shows them here. So it's a real good search engine. Word trends will go there. So self-control, like for 2012 to 2020, you notice self-control is on there. Do you see that on the screen? Kind of, eh? I don't really have the whole screen on there for some reason. You just look at this. I guess that's the whole screen there now. Okay. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So now, right at the beginning here, they have self-control. That's the biggest word they're using now. Abuse. You notice abuse is on the big thing. And what are they dealing with? They're dealing with abuse right now. Last year it was focus and song. So song, we're going to look at song, and we're going to see how song is a big thing. Now, I don't want to get lost in too much of this. You guys we're going to post links so you guys can check this out yourselves. But I'm kind of going through how you look at how whoever built this online tool was a genius, because it's really, it's called JW Library Analytics. Analytics.jws/library.1. Now this is a heat map, and it shows which Bible scriptures are using the most. So you see the darkness, that means they're using that the most. So Genesis, they were using it the most in 2004. So I'm going all the way down to, I wanted to see what they were using the most here, 2022. And we come all the way down to Matthew. See, Matthew, they're using it a lot. So guess why they're using Matthew? And then they're using Revelation, you know, there's time of the end stuff there. But I wanted to know what are they doing in Matthew? So we went and looked, and you can take that even further. That's the heat map, Bible book heat map. So then we go to here, and you look at the Bible book heat map. So you can type in Matthew here. They have a drop-down menu, of course. They make it really easy. And Matthew loads the data for the book of Matthew. And then I come down to 2022 because I want to see which scriptures in Matthew that these guys are focusing on, and all their this is scanning all of JW.org, this tool. So we come all the way down to see Rusty, all the way down. Where is it? Matthew, come on, all the way down here. All the scriptures. Now we're getting into some red stuff. Matthew 24:14. Well, we know that scripture. It even shows the scripture here. And this good news of the kingdom will be preached in all the inhabited earth. Well, they're always using it all the way through history. You see that? That's their main programming. There it is. There's the programming tool. So the heat map is the book of Matthew, and the heat map is bringing us to that particular verse. This verse is their primary programming doctrine. It's about preaching. It's about publishing the Watchtower earth-wide. That's what this is about. It's a publishing company. And of course, the heat map is going to point out that it's a publishing company. Now, the other part that I found was interesting, and this is all by year. I was looking at this year, and the other part of the heat map here is really high right here. And I went on here. Oh, well, what is it here? Who really is the faithful and discreet slave whom his master appointed over his domestics to give them their food at the proper time? You see, this is the scripture, one of the second scriptures, the second programming scripture from Matthew. So Matthew is a very important book to JW.org because it really identifies who is the faithful, discreet slave. And you notice, let me look at years, that they didn't really start emphasizing that until, I'm going to go all the way up here quicker. Okay, you notice the years, so we're going to go about 19 in the 80s here, 90 right here. We're going to go all the way down to that scripture, who really is a faithful, discreet slave. And really hard right in here. In about the 90s, they were really pushing that. And they started indoctrinating heavily through the 80s and 90s about the faithful slave. So see how a heat map, FBI, CIA, they use algorithms like this to do a heat map on people. And we all have a heat map as individuals. We, when we're searching online, and everything is traced. Eventually it can be traced. Just like this program can go in and dig up a heat map for Watchtower. So whatever we're typing, whatever we're doing, we create our own heat map. And just like the Watchtower. So the Watchtower's heat map is the faithful slave and helping the printing company out by preaching this good news of the kingdom, which is really distributing the Watchtower. So now, I thought that's a fabulous tool. We're going to move on, and we're going to have some fun here. We've got the video working full here, so I'm just going to be back on the screen here just for a little bit. I'm going to say goodbye, and this is where I'm going to put this video on, and I'm going to tune out, and I'm going to have to turn my mic on when I get back on and do a mic check. Okay? So here we go. Just the display.
Brothers, sisters, and interested ones. To open our exciting convention, we are proud to present the stand-up comedy of the governing body. Featuring those wacky members, brothers David Splain and Stephen Lett. Let's give them a real love-bombing witness welcome.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to read a letter that's been circulating among the brothers and sisters recently. You know, during the pandemic, especially, we often spread the word by means of such letters, and they continue to provide a good witness. This one is a model. Though we aren't usually this frank with householders, I think it pays to be more direct in the written word. And these words pack a lot of truth onto one page. Dear neighbor, since the end of the world as we know it is dangerously near, we are writing you to tell you the things your minister has not told you, but which Jehovah's Witnesses want you to know. Jesus Christ, as Michael the Archangel, returned invisibly in the year 1914, the start of the last days, and proceeded to judge all Christian religions. In 1919, Jesus personally selected the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, aka Jehovah's Witnesses, as God's Spirit-directed organization to preach the good news of God's kingdom before God destroys all human governments and false religion in the approaching Battle of Armageddon. Therefore, it is imperative that everyone who wishes to avoid destruction by Jehovah at Armageddon become a Jehovah's Witness as soon as possible. Admittedly, the Watchtower previously claimed that Armageddon would definitely occur in 1914, then again in 1925 it stated that an earthly resurrection of the faithful men of old would certainly occur. Then it was strongly suggested that Armageddon would occur in 1975, when Watchtower officials coined the phrase, "Stay alive till 75." But those were just the predictions of imperfect men. This time, however, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is really sure. So, do not hesitate any longer. Do not make the common mistake of reading your Bible without the aid of Watchtower publications, because you might conclude that Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong. The governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is Christ's faithful and discreet slave, and only the governing body can accurately interpret the Bible. So, forget everything your minister has told you, because all religions, except for Jehovah's Witnesses, are false religion, and their ministers are actually ministers of Satan, who has blinded their eyes. They may preach that Jesus is the mediator between God and men, according to 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5, but they have not told you that Jesus is only the mediator for the 144,000 Christians who are Spirit-anointed to go to heaven. True, Jesus said that no one comes to the Father except through him, but the only way to Jesus is through the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, the faithful and discreet slave. Only 144,000 Christians were given the hope of going to heaven with Jesus. All other Christians who survive Armageddon will enjoy everlasting life on a cleansed paradise earth. Only a small number of those 144,000 Spirit-anointed Christians remains on earth today, and all of those are Jehovah's Witnesses. They alone should partake of the bread and wine when commemorating the annual Lord's evening meal. Jehovah's Witnesses believe it is a sin to accept life-saving blood transfusions, because the Bible plainly tells Christians to abstain from blood. Admittedly, many scholars say that the only biblical prohibition regarding blood was against eating the blood of animals killed for food. But those scholars are wrong, because the faithful and discreet slave says so. Just as we said vaccinations, organ transplants, and blood fractions were against God's law. We were wrong about that, but thousands of Jehovah's Witness men, women, and children have died for refusing life-saving blood transfusions because only the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses can determine what is or is not a matter of conscience, because they speak for Jehovah himself. And, according to the Watchtower, one must be prepared to obey the governing body or one's local elders even if doing so makes no sense from a strategic or human standpoint. If one dies needlessly by doing so, there is always the resurrection hope for those who die for obeying the governing body. But, of course, it's not the person who died that will be resurrected. A new creature will be created and programmed with their memories. The dead loved one will still be dead, forever. And resurrected spouses will be spouses no more. People who leave their family's religion and become a Jehovah's Witness are often disowned and shunned by their families. Such persecution is to be expected because Jesus said he came to cause such divisions among families. However, when Jehovah's Witnesses ostracize, cut off and shun family members who leave their religion for conscientious reasons, such as unscriptural Watchtower teachings and practices, it is out of love to help the straying one return to Jehovah. Tearing families apart out of love is encouraged by the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. Don't be distracted by all the lawsuits and negative publicity against Jehovah's Witnesses for failing to report the crimes of pedophile elders, ministerial servants, and pioneers, missionaries, within their congregations, which crimes were never reported to civil authorities but were kept hidden in a secret Watchtower database. Jehovah's Witnesses are in the world, but they are not of the world. As Jehovah's representatives, they have the right to disobey laws which they deem to be in conflict with Jehovah's laws. Like the first-century Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses must obey Jehovah as ruler rather than men. So, it is okay for Jehovah's Witnesses to withhold the truth for the purpose of misleading enemies of Jehovah, even if they do so in courts of law after having sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Of course, when we swear to you that we're telling you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you can trust us implicitly. Before visiting a Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, be advised that Jehovah's Witnesses are well-groomed and modestly dressed. Their female, approved associates wear minimal makeup and jewelry, and choose dresses that show no cleavage and with hemlines below the knee. Their male, approved associates refrain from wearing beards and tight pants which were designed by homosexuals, according to the Faithful and Discreet Slave. Visitors are encouraged to adhere to these guidelines in order to fit in and to avoid receiving judgmental stares from others. Sincerely, your smiling Jehovah's Witness neighbors.
It's a great letter, but it should also mention that you have to give up birthdays, Christmas, masturbation, your worldly friends and family, and all non-watchtower publications. Then it would be perfect. But weren't we supposed to tell jokes?
Oh, it's good to laugh at ourselves sometimes, brothers and sisters. It keeps us humble. And we know Jehovah himself is a practical jokester. Remember that time he afflicted the Philistines with hemorrhoids. Here's one. How is a sister like a piñata?
I don't know, Brother Spillane. How is a sister like a piñata?
They get hit on, then spill their guts in court, about how they were sexually abused.
Yeah, I'd like to hit them myself sometimes, with the rod of chastisement, for all the trouble they caused the society.
You keep your rod in your pants this time, Stephen. We don't want this crowd to laugh too hard.
Hey, my wife Susan has never complained about it after 45 years of marriage.
That's only because she's not allowed to speak.
Hey, I've got one. How is a Jehovah's Witness child like a physically and mentally handicapped person?
They can't engage in sports or acquire a higher education. What happens to the world when all the brothers quit their jobs to devote full-time to the ministry? Their grass grows tall and their windows stay dirty. Thank you, you've been great. But you'll never be as great as us.
Hey, where'd everybody go?
They couldn't handle the truth, I guess.
Hey, David, we're in the dark.
Yes, Stephen. We're in the dark. You should be used to that by now.
Okay, I think I got my mic turned on. Thank you. There. Let me know if my mic's turned on. So that was quite interesting. Now, I don't know about you, but my mic was off, so I was laughing my guts out behind the scenes. So it was a good thing my mic was off. Like, that's hilarious. The work that went into this. First of all, thank you to we don't know who this is. It's the Watchtower Help Club. You can contact them, and you can get an email back, but it's anonymous. They don't want to be or he or she. You don't really know. But a real sense of humor and a really good parody of an assembly, with the governing body, of course. But I thought it was good. because there was so many little lessons like the blood, and from an outsider, if you know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses and you look at this is really how it is. This is what they think. This is what the governing body believe. They believe that they are the ones chosen, and only through them. And this is what they have instilled into all their followers all over the earth. And we're going to show you how they do this. This is the next part of the program. Now, Watchtower Help Club has a lot of stuff. I pulled up an article on the stand-up comedy of the governing body that we just watched, and he gives a whole breakdown of it, of the whole thing. And whoever did this blog really did a good job. So we'll cover some more of it. And if you haven't subscribed, go to the YouTube website and subscribe to the Watchtower Help Club. And he's just about at 1,000, I think. And we can give him some support by us going and doing that. And then you can get a chance to watch all of his videos and like them and share them. And I think this is fabulous stuff. I think we need to share this with the world and get it out there. So now, when we think of programming, my wife woke up 2 mornings in a row now with this song in her head, the victory song. And so we went to the Kingdom melody section here, and anybody can do it. I'm going to just turn that light up. You notice how there's a little bit of a thing here. I have a light. I'll just turn this up. And it just gets rid of that fuzz on the screen. Works pretty good. If we get the lights too high, then our face gets washed out and it starts to, you get different effects. So it's a real trick to that. Now we're going to take a look at 5 or 6 songs. We're not going to look at much of them. I don't want to reprogram you guys in a bad way. What we need you guys as the audience to do is to take this, and I want to make sure I'm on. I am on, right? My voice is working. Yeah, I think so. I think no one's saying that I'm not on. Okay, so we're in the song book here, song section, and you can go through all the songs. I went through them all. Since my good wife says to me that there's something wrong with those songs, I started looking. Forward, you witnesses. Here's the first one. Firm and determined in this time of the end. We'll do. I'm going to do a video on this one actually. So firm and determined in this time of the end, prepared are God's servants the good news to defend. So I think these are really tunes that could be redone, parodies on them. And that's how you erase them if some of these. So look at the programming in the words though. They're catchy tunes, firm and determined till this time of the end. So what are you firm and determined to do? Well, it's all about the good news to defend. You see, in the good news, the Watchtower is the governing body. So it's an army. You see, this is an army. This is not a church. This is not a religion. This is not worship of Jesus. This is Jehovah is a God of war. And so then we go to this, teach them to stand firm. So we got to teach them to stand firm. So what a joy to teach Jehovah's sheep and to see how they have grown. We have seen how he has guided them as they've made the truth their own. So again, you're throwing this truth thing out there. Jehovah may hear our prayer, keep watchful in Jesus' name. Blah, 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 blah. Where's the punchline on this? Jehovah, may you hear our prayer, maintain their confidence. Teach them to stand firm. Stand firm. Against what? Satan? This is stand firm. So, if you're a soldier, you have to stand firm. So if your enemy's coming at you, you have to stand firm. You have to hold your ground. If you're going to school and you're getting persecuted because you don't celebrate Christmas, New Year's, or Easter, or any of these things, and you're a child in school, we're told as parents to teach them, the children, to stand firm. They're Jehovah's sheep. We have to teach them what a joy it is for a parent to teach the child. That's what this song's about. You see, so it's teaching them what? It's teaching them the governing body's message, the watchtower. That's what it is. So now, let's go on from house to house. Well, you remember, everyone knows this song. They really overplay this song in the Kingdom Halls, from house to house. And they try to make it look like it's okay for everyone to go house to house. In fact, everyone should be going house to house. And from house to house, from door to door, Jehovah's word we spread. From town to town, from farm to farm, Jehovah's sheep are fed. So right in the opening line, it's like we're bringing food to people, like we're helping the poor. You know, we're feeding them. We're feeding people, spiritual food they call it. But we're really helping a publishing company distribute the Watchtower, because the Watchtower, and when I was in it was the Wake, but now it's more the Watchtower. And they kind of almost are not making the Awake anymore, it sounds like. Excuse me. Now, the good news, we go on in this song, so talking about feeding Jehovah's sheep, or feeding people, and that's what they were programming us to believe that we're actually helping, we're like Jesus, we're feeding the poor, and we're not. We're feeding a printing company. So then they're saying the good news that God's kingdom rules, as Jesus has foretold, is now declared throughout the earth by Christians young and old. You know, this is what the good news, this is what everyone's doing. So from house to house, from door to door, salvation we proclaim. Well, who gives them the right salvation? Salvation is Jesus. He judges. We don't proclaim that. We can talk about our experience, but this is all nonsense. This is about an army going door to door. This is about sending your troops out door to door. They show up at the service arrangement, and they're given their militaristic orders, and they're given a territory to go in, and their ammunition is the Watchtower. Get the Watchtower in their hands. We were told the very first thing is get the Watchtower in their hands. Hand it. If you hand it to them like this, if I'm handing you the Watchtower, hey, I got this big green screen now. I can stand up here, and I can actually do a demo. So if I'm handing you the Watchtower, you see, when you hand someone, they automatically, you're going to take it. That's what people do. And then they're sitting here, people are sitting here, and you're preaching at them, and they're sitting with this magazine in their hand, and they're just going to turf it. That's what they're going to do with the magazine. But the Watchtower, the governing body wants us to go house to house and get the Watchtower in their hands, and they teach us all kinds of little tricks and tactics to get that Watchtower magazine in people's hands. Because when people grab it, they're going to have it. Maybe they'll read it. Maybe they'll put it on the table. Maybe the kids will read it. Maybe the wife will read it. You see, and this is all the reasoning that we are given from the Watchtower. That we are giving people spiritual food, and that we are getting spiritual food into that house, and someone's going to eat that spiritual food from house to house. This is the programming and the indoctrination from these songs. And it really puts us deep into our brain. So this one needs to be redone. These are some songs that need redone. They need parodies. So there's a lot of talent out in the XJW community. And if you don't want to be known, you're really good at this kind of stuff, send it to my good wife and I'll butcher it. But I think we could have some fun here. Next one. Stay awake, stand firm, and grow mighty. Yeah. Another militaristic thing. Stay awake. So if you're in the military, you got to stay awake. You got to have someone on guard. You got to have a lookout. They could be coming in the dark. You got to stand firm, and you got to grow mighty. We got to be mighty. This is what this song's about. It's military. So stay awake, stand firm, and grow mighty. And we're not going to play it. And carry on with manly courage, for the victory is sure. So it's like there's a victory. You see, there's only a victory, like we're in this war. This is Jehovah's Witness war again, and we're going to be victorious. That's what this song is telling us. If we stay awake, stand firm, and grow mighty, we will be victorious in this war. Needs to be redone. Something else to erase it. So we have some started. This is just the start of this whole thing, but I want to share this with you guys as the audience, to help out, and we got to redo these songs. Enduring to the end. what end? Like who gives? That's all they talk about. The end is any day. The end is any day. What, the 1975 end? Just like the Watchtower. I go back to the to the Watchtower Help Club. How he made fun, and in his video he made a parody, and like these guys are. We got to show them for who they are and show it in the music, just like this parody did. And I think we have to do that in the songs. So now here's the next one. Shepherds and gifts of men. Okay, enduring to the end. The end of what? Well, God's word and all his promises give reason for us to endure. The things you have learned to come to love are all well founded and sure. Keep God's day close in mind. Stand firm in your integrity. By tests you'll be redefined. So it's military. You're going to be tested. Your integrity. You could get lost, and then there's a cost. So Jehovah will provide escape, of course. Our God is always near, but then what about all these people dying with no blood transfusions? Just as an example. We hate to beat everything up, but that's a big one. There's more deaths per year with people committing suicide that way than the death cult. What did they find? Only 225 buried in Nigeria, the death cult. So, but in the Jehovah's Witness organization, the estimates are over 1,000 a year. So a lot of people dying. Now, shepherds are in gifts of men. This is going to be funny. Now, this has to be redone. It's all about the shepherds and how good the men are. You see, gifts in men. And there's 2 songs in the whole list, one about men, one about women. We're going to look at that. And how there's definitely a slant on the men, and there's a different slant on the women. So the men, it's about gifts. They're excellent. They don't do anything. They don't do anything wrong. They might rip up CSA records, and they might hide this and hide, but they're men and they're shepherds and they're good. So this needs to be redone for sure. Because it's all just shepherds who love us and care. God gives us men who have earned our trust. Men who are loyal and true. Love them for all that they do. Like, come on, get real. Half of these guys up, they're just humans like you and I, and they're put on high. And it's wrong. So now, what did they do to the poor women? Faithful women. So, women, if you better be faithful. Christian sisters. Okay, let's see what we're going to program into you in this song. Okay, well, you got to be like Sarah, Esther, and Mary, and Ruth. Of course, there's some examples in the Bible. Well, they were faithful and nameless in the record. So it goes on to talk about goodness, courage, loyal, love, kindness, all these qualities we want our sisters to have. Lovable qualities. We want you sisters to be all like this. And then they go on to say virtues. These excellent women bring to mind. There are fine examples. And mothers and daughters and sisters, wives, women, willingly labor, glad to do your part, modest. They threw the modest in your bearing, submissive in your heart, submissive to the men. Oh yeah, that's a big thing in the religion because the men are gifted. And having God's approval, Christian sisters, firm in your conviction. So it's really, you see, the programming it has to be redone. So anyways, next one. Keep your eyes on the prize. So when the eyes of the blind ones see again and the ears of the deaf ones hear again, they play this at every assembly. And the joys of peace are everywhere when our loved ones will return to life, to an earth that's free from sin and strife, and you'll see how God these things supplies. But again, it's talking about this the prize that's been coming since 1914 and 1975, 1942, 1975, then the end of this generation. And now what? It's any day now. So keep your eyes on it, and it will be here, this prize. Now, I do get these songs. I do get how they can be motivational. And if we set goals, in goal setting, let's say we're running a business. If you build a business plan and what's your prize, you talk to people, what do you want to accomplish with this business plan or this business that you're going to start? Well, I want to feed my family. I want to get a living. I need to buy a vehicle, and I need to have a house, and that's what I need to do out of this business. Is that it? Do you want to do anything else? Do you want to feed the poor? Do you want to do this? Like, what is the prize? What is your plan? And that, so I get it when they say keep your eyes on the prize. God has given everyone a prize. What's the prize? Love everyone. What you put out, you get back. These are things that Jesus taught us. And what is the prize? Well, Jesus said to the evildoer on the stake, "You'll be with me in paradise." The faithful, discreet slave claim that it's only them or the ones that drink of the bread. So they have all this great crowd of people not partaking with Jesus in the emblems and the wine, and they should be. And I don't want to shoot on anybody because that's not right. But they could be if they wanted. Because why not? Jesus invited us. So Jesus says the prize is in heaven. There's a lot more room in heaven, in the spiritual realm, than there is on earth. Earth can only hold so many billion people, or so many billion souls. So, let's get real. The Bible says this journey 70 to 80 years. That's what it says in the Old Testament. Not too far from where they say everyone will live forever on earth. Because it doesn't say that. It says the righteous will possess the earth forever. So righteous people will possess the earth forever. Absolutely. Today, righteous people are on the earth. They own pieces of it. But there is unrighteousness all over too. But it says there will be righteousness everywhere. And that's all that'll be on the earth. So it's not saying individually we'll live forever on the earth. This is just their own supposition. This is their own idea. And they put it out there as truth and that they're God. So, you can take these songs, pick them apart. Now, the victory song, and what's the last one? Loyally, so Loyally. So the victory one is the one that we played with a bit. I didn't bring the words out, but here it is a little bit. I think it'll come on. So there's my first mic screw up. Everything I said there probably would have got me a strike on this channel. So thank you, God, for that mic being off. I actually did it. Okay. I actually hear my wife out there hollering across the yard. But yeah, you got to screw up once in a while. No one's perfect. So anyways, I got the mic back on. And what I was going to say here is that we speeded the music up here twice because we noticed that it's very slow. The music's very slow. It's like country and western slow. So we speeded it up. Let's see how this sounds. We're going to start again here, and I'm going to shut my mic off. Here we go. mic back on. So you see how that song can get to be very fun. We speed it up a bit, and we change the words a bit, and we can change that whole song into something else. So I'm going to work on this one. I did call it my favorite song. It's no longer my favorite song because once you read the chorus on it and you read the words, it's about war. It's about going to war, and it's about... My wife says to me, she says, it's like that picture, and I could pull it up here. I will. Because it's such a vivid picture. All you got to do is plug in JW End Times. And you plug that in, you look at images on YouTube, and it's one of the very first images that comes up. But it's End Times. Okay, we'll go End Times Pictures. And right here. There it is. So let's pull it up. There's your End Times. What does it mean? Right there. So this is what that reminds, that song, the victory song, reminded my wife of. and we sat there and talked about it. I never really thought about it because, of course, I'm questioning everything about myself now, coming out of this cult and having all this programming. So I'm thankful that I have someone that has never been infected by this stuff, because that's what we've been infected. Our minds have been programmed and infected with this stuff, and we got to get it out. So the only way to get it out is what we're doing. Unfortunately, it's a lot of work. So we're going to keep working on it, and I think we need more creators working on helping us, and we'll get more material out to the audience. But here we have the cognitive dissonance. All these people, look at the kids. This little kid is happy. Look at that, the paradise. Look at Daddy, the paradise. You see that? The kids, all the happiness. Now, we looked at some end times pictures on another video from another, and it was people, it was in the book of Enoch, and it was showing the flood, and people were fleeing. It was done by another group, but it wasn't like this. It was like people were fleeing for their lives. These people are not fleeing for their lives because they're protected. They're in the truth. And this is what the indoctrination says. These people are happy even though their mom or their dad, like the disfellowshipped ones, could be dead. And that's the message that that the governing body has put and is putting out. They're a printing company, and this is the stuff that they're putting out there. So now I'm going to get back to this victory song. That's what the victory song's about, is that picture. Now the next song is, of course, not loyally submitting to Jesus. And when my wife heard this, she says, where's the loyally submitting to Jesus? Like, if you're a Christian, aren't you a follower of Christ? Like all this Jehovah, 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 I get it. I get there's a God, and I get that the Hebrews, the Jewish people, were told to use Yahweh, really. If you had a choice, Yahweh was the closer word. Jehovah came about a way later, in the 1500s, way later. It was fashionable to use the word Jehovah. That's why they use it. But I think is overused, way overused. And even Jesus never said, let's say, for instance, that Yahweh is Jesus' father. Never used his name once. Not once. So if we're Christian, would we not want to follow Jesus? What's wrong with God? What's wrong with Father? You're just keeping it simple, but it's got to be Jehovah. And that's not even the original name. So, but their song here is loyally submitting to theocratic order. Well, what's that? Well, as Jehovah's people sound throughout the earth truths about the kingdom and its priceless worth, theocratic order they all must obey and remain united, a loyalty display. So that's all about obeying the sergeant, obeying the drill master, obeying the governing body. That's what that's about. Loyal submission in recognition, this to our God we owe. And then they say, well, it's for God. But it's nothing to do with God. This is about the governing body. And they just throw a bit of God stuff in there to make it look like that. And then they go on in the next number 2 here. God provides his steward and his active force. And the most used scripture in their programming doctrine, their heat wave, is Matthew 24 and 45? The faithful discreet slave. That's what they're programming the people, and that's what's in the music right here. And then in the very end, loyal submission in recognition. This to our God we owe, but it's really recognition to the governing body. That's what this loyalty and theocratic order is about. The word theocratic order, like this isn't even in the Bible. These are not even in the Bible, these words, if you put it in a Bible tool. So anyways, folks, we need to redo this music. And I realized this the other day when this was brought to my attention. So the way to do it is we take the record and we scratch it. And we make a parody, just like Weird Al Yankovic, or whatever his name is. And we do something like that. We have a JW version of that. So that's my wish, I guess. If anybody can help us do this, let's work together and have a lot of fun. Now, my wife says to me, she says, go and see what the rest of the world is doing. Let's just see type in Jehovah. And so here it is. I'm gonna show you what the rest of the world listens to. Now, this song, when I was about 2012, I found this on the internet. I was doing some research, Jehovah. And I did go on the internet when I was at JW, towards the end, more so. And I sent this to an elder and I said, hey, there's other people that are Jehovah's Witnesses that sing. Here it is. You probably heard this one before, but I think it's a pretty catchy song. Here it is. We're only going to play a little bit of it because I don't want to get a YouTube strike. So you guys can go to the site, Jehovah Jireh, just plug it in. Now that's a catchy tune, isn't it? Now I hope I don't get a strike on that. But go to it. If you haven't heard of this, this is a very famous song. I think in all the religions, Jewish religions, Christian religions, everyone knows of God's name. This is no big secret. Jehovah's Witnesses did not invent this. And this is what I told the elder. I said, this is out there. This is not about Jehovah's Witnesses having this name and it's only them. That's nonsense. And I wasn't well received, of course, when I sent this out. Now, we're going to go to the next one. My wife says to me, well, look up some others. There's lots of nice music out there about Jesus, about Christians. And here's a famous song. It's called... I keep looking at my mic sign because there's a little X if my mic's off. So that's why you see me look down there. But anyways, I got to turn my mic off, play this so I don't have feedback. And I'm just going to check. Can you guys let me know if my sound is good? Just give me a yes. And we'll look. Hey, Jay, nice to have you online. I think Jehovah Jireh is a JW nursing home too or something like that. Yeah, you know, you look online, a lot of the religions, I've seen some videos online where like there's auditoriums full, like assemblies, like the Jehovah's Witness assemblies, full of people standing up just like I was doing and just singing this song. I thought it was great. And it was positive. It wasn't about the end. It wasn't about war. It wasn't a God of war. It was Jehovah Jireh, I think, means Jehovah's going to feed you. I don't know. I am Nancy. These songs reflect the God of war, Jehovah. You're exactly right. And they do. That's the program that we have received as Jehovah's Witnesses when we're in the cult. We have to get it out, so that's why we have to build parodies. Now, I think we're good there. I'm going to go over another song here that my wife wanted us to. What's this one? Oh yeah. So this one was so cool. I'm going to give you two versions, just a little bit here, and I'm going to shut my mic off.
Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, I worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I worship Your holy name. The sun comes up. It's a new day drawing. It's time to sing His song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before.
Got the mic that time. Yeah, isn't that a beautiful voice? Now, I was caught off guard because the voice was so beautiful. I wanted to see a little bit more about this. So I pulled up a karaoke kind of version so you could see the words. And I'm just going to see what else I have on the program here. I think we're getting to the end. Yeah, we're getting to the end here. So here it is. We'll play this one, and I'm gonna turn my mic off again. There, I'm back on. Getting good at that. Getting my mic turned on. But these songs, you can listen to the whole thing. I don't know if you're into music or you like songs, but as Jehovah's Witnesses, we were programmed really hard with songs. And we went over just a few of them that really gave us that momentum of being soldiers in an army, in a war. And these Christian songs that we just listened to here about Jesus, bless the Lord, bless Jesus, these are beautiful songs. If you want to talk about Jehovah, Jehovah Jireh, it's just a really snappy song. There's a lot of songs out there that don't give us this negative programming that the governing body is the only ones and they're like the Christ on earth. They're the theocratic, that the men and the women, there's a difference. No, they do not talk about that at all. But if you look at Jehovah's Witnesses songs, they do. They spell out a distinction. And the distinction is what's wrong. Because inside, we're all people. We're all human. And there's no difference. So that brings our program to a close, folks. We are, where am I here? I got to go to the other screen here. Night Talk. There we are. Exposing JW.org's brainwashing techniques through music, through the written word, the Watchtower. And that's the first thing. No longer did they go to the door with the Bible. And they pulled all the stuff out that's carries weight in the Bible. We've talked about that. And but they go to the door with the Watchtower. It's a printing company, and we know it. So that's how they do brainwashing, and they get you to feel guilty if you're not out there pumping the Watchtower, because it's all about the door-to-door work, and that's how it works. So I'm looking back and forth, just trying to get onto figure out my screens here, and yeah, I think we covered off on everything pretty good. I'm just going to my live screen here. It's just that's what I'm looking at. So we had a lot of chatting. I thank you guys for all attending, and I see a lot of the audience is regulars, and that's great. And thanks for giving us this. So it says there's an open widget error. YouTube is not receiving smooth. So anyways, I'm going to close off right now. I don't know. It says there's poor. Could be my streaming is poor out here in the shop. So we're going to go with our concluding outro. Here it is. Bye for now. Thanks again, folks. See you next week. Well, thank you for joining us tonight on Live and talking about some of these deeper subjects. But as Jehovah's Witnesses, we get out of the organization and we have to deal with shunning, disfellowshipping, and many of these hard, painful experiences. But now, just to end the show on a positive note, join me as we go for a walk and pretend that you can float. And sometimes if we use our imagination, perhaps we're all alone, we have no one to talk to. Use your imagination and imagine you have superpowers. So join me as we conclude the program, and I want you to know that we love you. So until next time, keep living your life with love, and you'll attract that back to you. Thanks again. Bye for now.